A quiet evening in a bustling neighborhood turns into chaos when a single gunshot echoes through the air. An elderly man, known for his kindness and simplicity, is lying on the ground. A uniformed officer stands nearby, a gun in his hand, and a look of uncertainty in his eyes. But what happens next will leave you questioning everything about power, justice, and consequences. Could one decision completely change the lives of everyone involved? Let's uncover the truth. Before we dive into the details of this shocking incident, take a moment to think about this question. What happens when someone with immense power and influence is confronted with injustice? Today, we bring you the story of a police officer who made a split-second decision, unaware that the elderly man he shot had a son with enough resources to turn the world upside down in pursuit of justice. This isn't just a story about a shooting. It's about how actions ripple across lives, challenging systems and redefining what it means to fight for what's right. But first, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories like this one. Your support helps us bring these narratives to light, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below as we unravel this tale. The evening began like any other for Mr. James Oliver, a retired school principal in his late 70s. Known in his community as a gentle soul, James often took evening walks around his neighborhood. That night, however, something felt different. Across the street, Officer Eric Malone was patrolling the area. Eric was new to the force, ambition, and eager to prove himself. But ambition can sometimes cloud judgment. It all started when Eric received a report of suspicious activity in the area. The description was vague: an elderly man walking near parked cars. But it was enough to trigger his instincts. As James walked past one particular car, Eric approached him, demanding he stop and answer questions. James, caught off guard, turned to respond. But his slow movements, coupled with a walking cane in his hand, made Eric nervous. In a flash, the officer misinterpreted the situation. A shot was fired. James collapsed onto the pavement. The sound of the gunshot brought neighbors rushing out of their homes. Some screamed. Others immediately began recording on their phones. Eric stood frozen, staring at the man he had just shot. The reality of what he had done was sinking in, but it was too late to take it back. Paramedics arrived swiftly and rushed James to the hospital. News of the shooting spread like wildfire across social media, with the video clips fueling outrage. By the time James's son, Alexander Oliver, arrived at the hospital, the media had already picked up the story. Alexander, a billionaire tech entrepreneur, was not only grief-stricken, but also determined. He was known for his philanthropy and relentless pursuit of justice. Seeing his father lying unconscious, hooked up to machines, ignited a fire within him. This was no ordinary incident, and he wasn't going to treat it as such. As the community rallied around James, demanding answers, Alexander began to use his influence to ensure the case wasn't swept under the rug. He hired the best lawyers, private investigators, and media consultants to shed light on what had happened. Officer Malone, meanwhile, faced an internal investigation. The department initially tried to defend him, citing the pressures and uncertainties of the job, but Alexander's team uncovered troubling details. Body cam footage showing James clearly holding a cane, not a weapon, and reports of Eric's questionable behavior during past patrols. The tide began to turn. Public opinion shifted against the police department, with protests calling for accountability. People demanded change, not just in this case, but in how law enforcement operated as a whole. Weeks passed, and James's condition remained critical. Alexander stayed by his father's side, refusing to let go of hope. Meanwhile, Eric faced mounting pressure. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and his superiors were now distancing themselves. But Alexander wasn't just seeking punishment for the officer. He wanted something more profound: reform. He used his resources to launch a campaign advocating for better police training, mental health support for officers, and stronger community ties. What started as a personal tragedy turned into a movement. After months of legal battles and public outcry, the court reached a verdict. Eric was found guilty of reckless endangerment and was dismissed from the police force. James, against all odds, began to recover, though his journey was far from over. But the story didn't end there. Alexander's advocacy led to significant changes in the local police department. Policies were rewritten and officers underwent rigorous retraining. The community that had once been fractured began to heal. This story isn't just about one family's fight for justice. It's a reminder of the power of persistence and the importance of holding people accountable, no matter their position. What would you do if faced with a similar situation? How far would you go to protect your loved ones and demand change? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking stories. Together, we can shine a light on the truths that need to be told.